I grew up watching Winx Club and absolutely adoring it. When I heard there was going to be a reboot, I was really excited because I thought, you know what, this is that golden opportunity they have to retell this story in a very good way. Because, in my humble opinion, from season 5 onward of Winx Club, they pretty much lost their way. You can imagine my surprise when I discovered that it wasn't really good. So I got frustrated and now I want to do something about it. So in this video we're going to talk a little bit about why Winx Club The Magic is Back is not really well written and a little project that I'm working on that it's related with it. On the background I'm drawing a little OC that just came out of nowhere. I don't think it's gonna be part of any sort of story. I just wanted to experiment a little bit with composition and trying to make it like a little bit comic like with the panels and stuff. So I gotta be honest, I was actually really excited when they announced that they were gonna do a Wings reboot. I thought that it was a great opportunity to tell the same story in a different medium, tell it again, fix some of the flaws, and maybe give it a twist that nobody was expecting. And I like to think that that's what they wanted to do with Damien and the other villain that I forgot his name. I literally just saw like 3 chapters of the reboot and I forgot his name already. You see how memorable he is. I liked the design of Icy. Like, I think her model turned out really good. Like, really good. And I actually kind of like Flora a little bit. There are times where she looks weird, and I think it's because the possible AI usage and stuff, which it's a theme on its own. For this video in particular, I'm not gonna talk a lot about the character design, what I just said, and my opinion on the specialist looking really bad, really bad, are probably gonna be my only comments on the design aspect. I'm gonna reserve that for a future episode. What I'm gonna focus on this one is the poorly written story. And here's the thing, I can get behind bad animation. Like, honestly, I can see a story, I can see a series if it is badly animated, if it's not really that nice visually. I can get behind it as long as it's well written. If you think about it, there are a lot of stories that started and you're like, they don't really have the best visuals, but the story is good enough to keep you there, to keep you engaged. I think they look nice, with again with the exceptions of the specialist, but I think the girls look nice enough, the places look nice enough, and that's nice. Um, Good for you. But I don't think the story really has a lot of character. I don't think the characters are developed, but I don't think the way they executed was a good execution of this iconic story that a lot of us grew up with. Let's start with the first 2 episodes. I think those, especially the first one, go way too fast. Like, way too fast. In less than 4 minutes, we get what in the original took 2 full episodes, or at least an episode and a half of the original series. And that's because in 4 minutes, Bloom went from um, totally human that happened to develop some sort of fire powers to going to Alfea without thinking about the consequences. And I think that's something that it's like a constant thing that happened during the series, is that there is a lack of consequences. Every action has a reaction. Everything you do will lead to another new thing. Here it feels like things just happen because the authors write it that way, and not because the characters earn neither the good or the bad consequences. It doesn't feel coherent and things just get solved way too quickly. Things like Aisha's parents just accepting her after, I think it's Griffin says that it's okay that she is herself when she's in private. That's not how it works. If it took, like, my parents are very strict and I can really relate with that specifically arc. It took years for my parents to start to like back off a little bit. And honestly, when the big change started with my mother was when she started to go into this journey of spirituality and personal growth, that I'm so grateful for it, because it really changed her for the better. And that helped a lot our relationship. But it wasn't because one person told her like, hey, you should let your daughter be who she wants to be. No. And I mean, till this day we still have sometimes like some encounters that are like, Mom, I love you with all my heart, but I can dress however I want, and I'm not even dressing unprofessionally for the office. And I even double checked with human resources, and they said that I dress properly for the office. So please, and I said it with a lot of love, back off. Of course, I don't say it this way, it's just how it feels for me, but I sugarcoat it a lot, and I say it in a way more control and respectful manner, because that's also a way that I've learned to deal with that. The point is that that took a long time. And then for my father to start changing his things, I literally had to be hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital for 12 days. And we had to had an intervention with a social worker and a psychiatrist that said I had a severe depression episode without psychosis. I'm not sure if that's the right name in English. I'm just saying like the literal translation. And after that, we started to work in that. And then we started to go to therapy. And now we're not going anymore because nobody has made the time. But now I'm pushing to go back because there are stuff that's, of course, it's gonna happen again because we're human, and I'm getting into the tiny details of my personal life. But the important thing here is that that didn't got solved in one day. And the closest thing to getting solved in one day was that intervention after 10 days of me being inside a psychiatric hospital, in which, mind you, I went by choice, by myself, because I didn't feel safe. And it took a psychiatrist, a social worker, and a lot of talking and back and forth with them for them to understand that the fault wasn't all mine but ours. Like, I'm not saying I don't have any fault in that. I do, but it is from both of us. We both messed up stuff, and it's our responsibility of both of us finding a middle ground. It doesn't matter if they are my parents, they also have to try to meet me in the middle, whatever that middle seems like. So Aisha's parents just accepting her out of nowhere, for someone that actually had very strict parents, it just doesn't make sense. And up top of that, we have the fact that Bloom, she didn't question anything in the. I'm going back to the first chapter. She didn't question anything. She didn't have anything to go back to. Apparently, like, if I am willing to leave everything behind, it's because I don't have anything that keeps me into this place. Guys, if you don't have anything stopping you, that sounds like a really bad depression, you know? If you don't even question, okay, I'm gonna leave all my life behind for this thing that suddenly happened that seems to be a better option. Like, I don't think I'm reading too much between the lines, but that's concerning. And in the original, at least she took like a day or two to question things. She talked with her parents. Her parents took her as far as they could until the magical barrier stopped them. Here, it didn't happen. She just accepted that she was gonna be a fairy and went on. So it just feels like a story that happened because the authors are forcing it. And this happens because they lack a word, a couple of words when they're planning. Instead of going, this happened because this happened, and because of this happened, but this happened, and because of that, this happened, they're going, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. It's like a bunch of stuff that just keeps happening. There's no sort of domino effect. The author is the one pushing down every domino piece because the pieces themselves are not gonna cause that chain reaction that it's satisfactory when we are telling stories. There are a few things that I think like could be interesting. I really like the take they took with Tekna. I think that little change in personality, making her autistic coded, I I really like that. What I don't like is that I think that's the only personality trait that we see in the girls, like the six girls during the whole thing. It's very poorly written and it reminds me a lot when AI writes stuff. We don't really get to see a lot of character development. And when Bloom, I think this is the second episode, when Bloom comes back to the earth because she believes that she's gonna be a witch and she'd rather not use her magic than be a witch and hurt someone. When the girls come back to her and she tries like to remember good times, it feels empty because we haven't had any sort of bonding experience between the girls to say, yeah, they really should stick together. They are each other's found family. That's just not the case. They haven't into any sort of hardship to actually make you feel like this sort of relationship it's worth it, that it comes from somewhere. In a previous job, I had a person that they were leaving and we met for like a week or so, probably less. And here's the thing, when they left, other people in my job, they were sad because that person left. I didn't feel anything. And not because I was like, oh, I wish you all the worst, but because I didn't really have any sort of connection with that person. I mean, they did great things, I guess, but they never really created a relationship with me, which is fine. There are a lot of people that we don't create relationships with. But if you want me to care that Bloom is leaving her friends behind, her found family, then show me that they are a found family. Show me the hardships they've been going through. And this is something that I actually think the original did very well because we get that connection fast through a traumatic experience. And this is actually scientifically proven that when you have someone with you, when you deal with a hard circumstance, when you deal with something that's very either traumatic or difficult, that makes your relationship stronger between the two of you. And what they did in the original was that they met in the dorms. They were like, you know what? We're gonna be roommates. We should get to know each other because we're gonna be living together for at least a year, probably four. So let's go out and eat. That it's a good excuse. Like honestly, I will do that. If I move in with someone, I will be like, hey, I think we should get to know each other, talk a little bit, establish rules and stuff. Do you wanna go out and eat while we talk about it? Perfect. It has food. Food is always good. And then Bloom said, hey, I want to talk with my parents. Because she wanted to talk with her parents, she went to a phone. What's the name? It's the thing that Doctor Who. Don't remember the name of the thing. I'm going to put a picture. So she went to this thing. She called her mother. She talked a little bit about it. And through the glass, she was able to see the troll that at the beginning of the series was following Stella. And because of this, she followed the troll and found the tricks. Now, let's think of the tricks as a mafia. If a mafia boss finds someone eavesdropping into their meeting, it makes total sense that they're gonna try to kill that person. So in this context, the fact that the tricks tried to end Bloom immediately, it totally makes sense. Then we go back to the other girls and they're like, hey, she has taken a lot of time. This is weird. We're gonna go looking for her. And they found her and they fight together and they barely get by. Like, honestly, they struggle a lot and they only manage to get out of it alive because Stella knows a teleporting spell. That's it. And they all fought together, trying to keep Bloom safe, trying to keep each other safe, and they have this bonding moment that it's like, okay, shit, we were forced to work together, but we did well. And that it's a very start to their relationship than just, oh my god, we're roommates, we're gonna be best friends forever. Ah! It's like, no, that's not really how it works, sweetheart. That's not how relationships work. This, it's a good start for Icy hating Bloom. And of course, the ice and fire thing makes sense and stuff. But in the original, at this point, the tricks think that they're looking for Stella's ring, not for Bloom's dragon flame, because they don't know that Bloom has the dragon flame. And then, like, they build that hatred for them on top of their, I'm not sure if the right term will be racism, but I think it is like racism in the sense of witches hate fairies and fairies hate witches. Like they just hate each other because of who they are. According to me, that counts as racism. Anyway, so this discrimination also fits into that hatred that the tricks have towards the Winx. In the reboot, we are told that a storm tower, I don't know the name in English now that I think about it, the school of the witches was destroyed 16 years ago. That's important. It was told that it was destroyed 16 years ago, which means that they've been together for 16 years. Like the two schools have been together for 16 years. And when Stella says like, I try not to think about it, like yeah, sure, it shows that fairies don't like witches, but like if you grew up your whole life knowing that Alfea is a school for both fairies and witches, you are gonna think about it. Like inevitable, you're gonna think about the fact that it's a school for both fairies and witches. If it were something more recent, like a year or so ago, like I will get it. It will really make sense. But literally, the whole life of Stella, Alfea has been for both witches and fairies. Why do you say you try to not think about it if that's the only thing you know? You can be racist, you can be against it, but I don't think you will forget it. Because the way it was delivered, it kind of gave the impression that she genuinely forgot to say it. And I think about this in the campus of my university, we had like the main campus, and then the university bought another area for building more buildings. That second place was called Campus Oriental, Oriental Campus, and I got really used to calling it that. With time, it moved to Arena Savannah. Savannah's Arena will be the translation. And new students, I was at that point, I think, seventh semester. People that just came into the university, they refer to it as Savannah's Arena. And whenever I said Oriental Campus, they were like, where? And I'm like, Savannah's Arena, sorry, I got really used to the other one. And it took me a while to get used to the changed name, and I honestly sometimes forgot how was it called now. But it was because I grew up with that thing having a different name. The new students never got confused because they never related that name with that location. So why does Stella have that thing confused? On the other hand, I really don't think witches would have left all the building as it is. Like when you see the new Alfea, I think it looks less magical than the original, but it looks very unanimous. Like every building makes sense with each other, and it doesn't look vandalized or anything. You are telling me you mixed two races of people that hate each other on principle, that have been enemies for centuries, and that stand in very different grounds, and none of them tried to vandalize the other's site? Are you telling me that the witches just decided to accept fairy architecture from the get-go, not even questioning it? Not even trying to add a little bit of darkness there, and that Griffin, Headmistress Griffin, allowed that? That she let her pride of being a witch go by to be in a place that represented only fairies for 16 years? No. It just, like, honestly, think of it. Think of it from a historical point of view. Whenever you mix two races, either by force, by nature, or whatever, there's gonna be some cultural exchange. And that also gets reflected on the architecture. I mean, if they were forced, let's say that the witches' school was so cursed it was impossible to build again there, and it had to be there, or Alfea, like they only had those two options, then what changes would the fairies do to their architecture, either because they're trying to welcome the witches or because the witches forces them to make the place better? They're seriously lacking things there. Especially if you're trying to tell me they don't interact well with each other, because from my perspective, like if I didn't have the context of the previous series, I will just think that witches can be good or bad, fairies can be good or bad, and Stella is just racist. Which, I mean, I don't think I'm that far off, but all of these little details, it's what really throws the story off. It doesn't allow you to be fully engaged because nothing really makes sense. Actions don't have consequences, with a few exceptions, and the world building, despite coming from a place that had a decent world building and a decent story that was very loved by a lot of people, including me, is just nowhere to be found. The real purpose of Damien being there, I don't see it. I don't think Damien really has a purpose, and neither the other bad guy. The tricks reasons for doing something are just so ambiguous, and they change every now and then. And once again, in the original, they from the get go were looking for the dragon flame. At first, they thought they could find it on Stella's ring. But then they discover, oh no, it is not on Stella's ring, it's on the new fairy. Fine, she is our new target. It made sense because they discover that the ring didn't have the dragon flame. Therefore, they're gonna go for the girl that actually has that thing. Here stuff just happens. Why was the troll fighting Stella and Flora? They never tell you why. It's like, no. And then when they finally steal Stella's ring, it's just like, oh no, it hurt me. I'm gonna put it here and leave it to rot. There's no consequences. There's nothing. And there's even a part where Darcy freezes Stella, and the next second, she just moves freely, and it's like, what the fuck? Where are the consequences? You were supposed to be trapped in a spell, unable to move. You know how much angst that could give you? Like, honestly, that would have been a really interesting scene where Stella's seeing how her friends are like fighting for her and she's unable to do anything. That would have been cool. But it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. After all of this ranting, I decided to take matter into my own hands and I talked with my sister. So we're gonna be doing a little series called Remaking the Wings. I'll probably change the name, but I'm not sure yet. Where she and I are gonna be taking some stuff and turning it into our own version of what we would have liked the reboot to be. How we would have told the story and our thought process behind it. I'm gonna get a little behind character design. It's been a long time since I last got to do some character design, but I have faith in myself. I think I can do a very decent job, and I'm gonna be sharing my thought process with you guys. So if you're interested in that and wanna help me brainstorm how to fix Winx Club, rewriting it from zero, respecting the original, but also understanding that it's gonna be its own story, something that could totally function without the original as a base. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on social media. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.